恭敬大德善听，为此法会一切众生，请转妙法轮，教导我们如何了生脱死。离苦得乐，殊真无生。Well, the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering and attempt bliss and end birth and death and quickly realize numbers.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one. Namo sadanto suchetoye alahati sanmiao sanputo 无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in a billion eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently, may we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Namo, quelling disasters, lengthening life, Medicine Master Buddha. 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 Medicine Master does come one. 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 Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Rebel Master, and all good knowing advisors, Amitabha. Welcome back. We are at lecture number 197. Wow, that's a long series. Okay, now let's get back to, I won't do a summary of what we've done. Maybe a quick one. Yeah. But before I begin, does anyone have anything they want to share or bring up from last week, or any questions? Okay. Well, if there are, you know what to do. Okay, so right now we are still looking at the practice of, let me see if I got it right. Nian for is, am I pronouncing it correctly? I hope so. Anyway, recollecting the Buddha, or mindfulness of the Buddha, which is the Pure Land practice. But we are looking at it from the Theravada side first, because there are ample opportunities to look at the Pure Land practice in other places. But for most of us, it is very rare to look at mindfulness of the Buddha from the Theravada text point of view. And when we do that in detail, which is what we're doing this past few weeks and the coming weeks, it is that when you read a sutra like the Medicine Master Buddha Sutra or the Amitabha Buddha Sutra, they don't tell you a lot about the backstory of the Buddha, but they tell you his vows, how he became a Buddha using his vows. And behind those vows are what we are studying right now. Okay, we are looking into detail at how a bodhisattva realizes his vows to become the Buddha. Okay, so that when we are mindful of the Buddha, we have all this backstory. We know where the Buddha comes from. We know his skills. We know how many kalpas, ashamkaya kalpas it takes to become a Buddha. Uh, what else have we looked at? All his titles. Today we're going to look at the clear vision. What does a Buddha's clear vision mean? We look at how the Buddha obtains the 32 hallmarks. So that when we are mindful of the Buddha, we don't have to remember all of those things like what we're going to go through today. But when we recollect the Buddha, and we're reciting the Buddha's name with our mouth and hearing it with our ears, in our hearts and mind, we slowly transform ourselves into the form of the Buddha. Okay, but you can only do that if you know what makes a Buddha or how he got to be a Buddha. Okay, so if you look at your screen, um, right now we are looking at this is the part of the sutra that we are at. So it says, if you are threatened, okay, in a dangerous place with weapons, fire, knives, if you are mindful of the Buddha, you can single-mindedly recollect the Buddha and make offerings to the Buddha. You will be liberated from all those frightful things. So if you're wondering, is that true or not? Well, first of all, I don't think you want to test that theory. I don't think you want to find out in that way. Okay, but to know if it can work or not, you have to know how to perform the practice. So right now we are recollecting the Buddha. All right, and in terms of recollecting the Buddha, let me see, was it last lecture we looked at what it means to be accomplished? This is taken from the Visuddhimagga because it's an excellent reference in terms of the practice of recollecting the Buddha or mindfulness of the Buddha. And then if you look at the next slide, we also look at fully enlightened. All right. So today we are going to look at what it means when they say that the Buddha is endowed with clear vision and virtuous conduct. All right. Are you all ready? And then halfway through today's lecture, or maybe 3/4 way through, we will look at the 32 hallmarks. And I found a new source of information for the 32 hallmarks. So I'm going to update what we're going to discuss. Okay, now, when it's from the text, it says there are 3 kinds of clear vision and 8 kinds of clear vision. All right, that means sometimes you will read that the Buddha has 3 types of clear vision. Sometimes you will read that the Buddha has 8 kinds. Which is right? Well, both are right. It just depends on the classification. So the Visuddhimagga, or also known as the path of purification, says that the 3 kinds should be understood as stated in the Bhaya Sutta, or MN4. And then the 8 kinds, you can look it up in the Ambapa Sutta. Okay, what are the 3 kinds of clear vision? Well, it's the recollection of past lives, the divine eye, and the extinction of the contaminants. Okay, just let me look at my slides a bit. I am not sure if... okay, all right. So I won't go into detail now because 1, 2, 3, in the following slides, we will go into detail. Okay, all right. And then what are the 8 kinds of clear vision? Clear vision means can see clearly, as opposed to what? Not being able to see clearly. If it's dark and you can't see anything, you can It's very easy when you walk to not see something sharp, step on it, not see a hole, fall into the hole, fall off a cliff, bang into a wall. How do I know? Well, I was growing up. My family, we used to stay in the middle of oil palm estates, and our electricity would come from the. If I'm not wrong, I was only a few years old at that time. Our electricity would come from the palm oil factory, and so it was very normal for the electricity to be cut. And you're in the middle of nowhere. If the only at night the only light that you can get is moonlight. There are no street lamps where we live, and so it is extremely dark. Sometimes it is so dark that you can't even see your hand in front of your face. That's how dark it is. So you need a torchlight, and with a torchlight, you can navigate yourself safely. With light, it reveals everything to you. Without light, ignorance. With light, wisdom. So the Buddha here has 8 kinds of light. All right, knowledge and vision of insight knowledge, knowledge of the mind, made body. Let me see. One of my notes. Okay. Number 3, physical and magical powers. Number 4, the divine eye. Number 5, the divine ear. Number 6, you can remember your former lives. Number 7, you can read other people's minds. You know what they are thinking of. And number 8, the knowledge of the extinction of the contaminants. We shall go back and look at the recollection of past lives. Okay, these are known as the 3 knowledges. The recollection of past life, the divine eye or clairvoyance, and the extinction of the contaminants. Well, what is that? Okay. The Buddha explained, he says, when my mind had become immersed in samadhi like this, what kind of samadhi? Purified, bright, flawless, rid of corruptions, pliable, workable, steady, and imperturbable. I thought I knew how to pronounce that word. I extended it toward recollection of past lives. I recollected many kinds of past lives. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 30, 40, 50, 1,000, all the way to 100,000 rebirths, many eons, not just rebirths, but many eons of the world contracting, the world expanding, the world contracting and expanding. These are known as the coming into being and the destruction of worlds. Yeah. And then the Buddha says, I remember there I was named this, my clan was that, I looked like this, and that was my food. That was how I felt pleasure and pain, and that was how my life ended. So you can see into your past lives as easily as you're watching a movie. And even easier. Why? Because a movie, you have to pause, you have to fast forward, but when you have this power and you can look back at your past lives, you just know. You just know who you were, how you died, how you live, who was your family, your husband or your wife or your brothers, your sisters, and you know all the things that you did. And you can see how doing this led to this, led to that, led to that, led to that, life after life after life after life. Okay. And that's actually what the Buddha says in the next slide. He says, when I passed away from that place, I was reborn somewhere else. There too, I was named this, my clan was that, I looked like this, and that was my food. And that was how I felt pleasure and pain, all the memories. Yeah. So he recollected all his many kinds of past lives with features and details. So you know when you were born a ghost, you know when you were born in the hells, when you were born in the heavens, every single thing, animals. So the Buddha said, this was the first knowledge. That means the clear vision, the 3 clear visions. This is the very first one that he achieved. Okay. Now, the second one, the divine eye. Again, the Buddha was in samadhi, and this was when he was sitting under the Bodhi tree before he became a Buddha. So he extended the divine, so he knew about his own birth and death. Okay, so now he directed his mind towards understanding the birth and death of sentient beings. Sentient beings is not just human beings, it's all beings that revolve in samsara. So the Buddha said, with his power that is purified and superhuman, that means not for mundane people, he saw sentient beings passing away and being reborn, inferior or superior, beautiful or ugly, in a good or a bad place. And then he understood how sentient beings pass on according to their deeds, which is karma. So he says, these dear beings did bad things by way of body, speech, and mind. They denounced the noble ones, they had wrong view, and they chose to act out of that wrong view. Okay, so these are people who do unwholesome deeds. And they don't have wisdom because they choose to follow wrong view. What happens? After death, they are born in the place of loss. These are known as the three lower realms, a bad place, the underworld, or hell. It says, these dear beings, however, did good things by way of body, speech, and mind. They never denounced the noble ones. They had right view, and they chose to act out of their right view. When their body breaks up after death, they're reborn in a good place, a heavenly realm. So you ascend. And the Buddha says, and so with clairvoyance or the divine eye that is purified and superhuman, I saw sentient beings passing away and being reborn, inferior and superior, beautiful and ugly, good or bad place. I understood how sentient beings pass on according to their deeds. And then Buddha says, this was the second knowledge which he achieved in the middle watch of the night. Okay, do you want to know how it's like? How the Buddha explains being able to not just see the karmic, but to be able to predict. Okay, after this few slides, I have a sutra that I'll share. The Buddha explains. The Buddha gives a metaphor. Okay, now this one, extinction of the contaminants. What is this? It is the understanding of the ending of defilements. In other words, the Four Noble Truths. Okay, so the Buddha in the next paragraph, he says, I truly understood this is suffering. That's the first noble truth. This is the origin of suffering. That means he fully understood where suffering comes from. And then number 3, this is the cessation of suffering. And number 4, what is the practice that leads to the end of suffering. Then the Buddha understood these are defilements or afflictions or impurity, the origin of defilements, cessation of defilements, and the practice that leads to the cessation of defilements. And then the Buddha says, knowing and seeing like this, my mind was freed from the defilements of sensuality, desire to be reborn, and ignorance. And then when it was freed, he knew that it was freed. And he could then claim rebirth is ended. The spiritual journey has been completed. What had to be done has been done. There is nothing further for this place. And that was the third knowledge which he achieved in the final watch of the night. Does that mean that the Buddha retired once became the Buddha? No, actually then he had to work very hard because that's why we have all these teachings. Yeah, the Buddha had to teach all of us sentient beings. Yeah, if you are in Singapore, they will say bo pian. I have to teach all these sentient beings to show them the way towards the end of defilements. Okay. All right. Now, then the Buddha says, no, it's no longer the Buddha. This is the commentary now from the Visuddhimagga. He says, now the Blessed One is endowed with these kinds of clear vision and with this conduct as well. Hence, he is called endowed with clear vision and virtuous conduct. Okay, virtuous conduct we haven't gone through yet. Okay, right now we're just looking at clear vision. And it says, herein, the Buddha's possession of clear vision consists in the fulfillment of omniscience, while his possession of conduct consists in the fulfillment of the great compassion. Conduct means based on virtue, which we haven't covered yet. So he knows through omniscience or through his spiritual powers what is good and harmful for all beings. And through compassion, he warns them of harm and exhorts them to do good. Okay? All right. Now, this is the sutra. It's called the Mahasihanada Sutta. Okay, MN 12. This is it's a long sutra. So this is just a short excerpt of the sutra. It's called the lion's roar. Okay, why? Because a lion, when the lion roars, everyone. Have you ever been to a zoo or to a safari? And I have. And if you ever heard a lion roar, okay, the roar is very powerful. Is a sound that travels, that seems to affect the distance of where the sound is coming from, or no, not where, um, how far it's coming from, because it seems to not pierce. Pierce is something sharp. It rumbles like thunder. Okay, you hear thunder, but the roar, I guess because you're nearer, it sounds a lot more powerful, and you can't quite tell how far they are. Yeah. Anyway, in the sutra, the Buddha says there are these 10 powers of a realized one that the realized one possesses. With these, he claims the bull's place. The bull is always seen like at the foremost place of animals, or roar his lion's roar in the assemblies and turns the divine wheel. So lion's roar also means that there's nothing else that can match the sound of a lion's roar. So what then? So firstly, the realized one truly understands the possible as possible and the impossible as impossible. Okay, now a lot of us, we, when, how you say, um, we, we have beliefs, we believe in something, but we're not sure if it's right or wrong. We don't have any proof. There's no way we can prove it to ourselves. But we just believe, there are a lot of people who when I meet, that they say, oh, I believe that as long as you do good, you'll be okay. Or, they have theories like that online, but they're not sure. They want to believe it. Why? Because they probably don't have something else to depend on. Yeah, but if you ask them what's possible and what's not possible, they don't know. But the Buddha knows what is possible and the impossible as impossible. So you don't waste your time. The Buddha truly understands the results of deeds or karma undertaken in the past, future, and present in terms of grounds and causes. He truly understands well where all paths of practice will lead. So he looks at you, and if you're practicing in a certain way, he knows if it's going to bear fruit or not. How does he know? You're going to find out. He truly understands the world with its many and diverse elements. The Buddha understands the diverse convictions of sentient beings. That means the way we believe in things. He understands the faculties of other sentient beings and other individuals after encompassing them in his mind. That means he can truly understand who you are better than yourself. He truly understands corruption, cleansing, and emergence regarding the absorptions, liberations, immersions, and attainments. These are all the possible states of concentration or samadhi that the human consciousness can attain. And furthermore, the realized one recollects many kinds of past lives. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc., like what we read before. Many eons of the world expanding, or kalpas of the world contracting and expanding. And then this next slide, actually we've read a similar version of this. He can recollect his past lives. Okay, and I'm not going to read this. Then now the Buddha can see, I think the Visuddhimagga took it from this sutra. Yeah. And then here the Buddha can see how living beings pass on based on the karma that they create. Okay, it says, furthermore, the realized one has realized the undefault freedom of heart and freedom by wisdom in this very life, and lives having realized it with his own insight due to the ending of defilements. Since he truly understands this is a power of the realized one. Relying on this, he claims the bull's place roars his lion's roars in the assemblies and turns the divine wheel. The realized one possesses these 10 powers of a realized one. Now, here, this is the part where the Buddha explains how, he doesn't really explain, he gives an example of how he knows where, say, he can give a prediction, or he knows where how his superpowers work. So he's explaining this to Venerable Shariputra. Says, using my mind, I might know the mind of a particular person, like this person is practicing and behaving in such a way, they have taken on such a path, that when this person is separated from the body after death, this person will appear in a good destination in a heavenly world. Okay, so the Buddha, when he looks at a person, he can tell. And then it says, on a later occasion, using divine vision, which is pure and surpasses human vision. Okay, why does he say divine vision, which is pure? Pure meaning that it is true. That means what he sees, it is not he's not relying on someone else giving you the vision, or a demon trying to mess with you or corrupt you. You're not looking at a memory. Okay, you're not looking through imagination. Okay, that's why it's pure. It's 100% true and reliable. So the Buddha says here, he can see when that person was separated, when the person dies, they appear in the world of devas experiencing entirely pleasant feelings. So for example, if this person appears in the good destination. So then the Buddha explains to Venerable Shariputra, it says, it is just as if there was a palace with a pig roof, plastered walls, impervious to wind, with lockable doors and shutters on the windows. In it, there is a couch covered in cowhide, wool, embroidered blankets, and deer-hide blankets with a canopy overhead and red pillows. So if you use your imagination, okay, think of it. It sounds a bit like you watch an old movie, or a movie about the Middle East in maybe a few hundred years ago. Okay, and sometimes there's sandstorms outside or storms outside, but this palace is built in such a way that when you are in there, uh, the wind cannot come through. Okay, the sand cannot come through. So there's lockable doors, shutters on the windows, and it's very comfortable. Okay, imagine a couch covered with all kinds of skin and wool and blankets, not just blankets, but embroidered blankets, uh, deer hide blankets. That means to keep you nice and warm and soft. With a canopy overhead, that means very luxurious. Maybe there's mosquitoes, probably not. And then not just any regular pillows, but red pillows. Then the Buddha says, then a person comes who is scorched and overwhelmed by heat, exhausted, dehydrated, and thirsty, going along a one-way road that leads to that palace. So from here, you can bet that it's kind of like maybe like a dry desert style setting conditions. Then a person with eyes who saw that would say, based on how that person is practicing and behaving, based on the path that person has taken, that person will come to this particular palace. Okay. Then Buddha says, on a later occasion, they might see that person in that palace sitting or reclining on the couch, experiencing entirely pleasant feelings. Okay, so from that point of view, is a very straightforward thing. You're not guessing where the person is going to end up. You just know. Okay, is very matter of fact. Yeah, you could say is cause and effect. Okay, you understand cause and effect. So the Buddha says, in the same way, exactly the same way, Shariputra, if the Buddha uses his mind and he knows the mind of someone else, and he knows how the person is practicing and behaving, the Buddha can tell where this person is going to end up. Okay, all right. Now let me see. Okay, we're going to move on to the next topic, which is virtuous conduct. But before we do that, does anyone have anything, any clarification needed? Yes,
法师，阿弥陀佛。
Alex.
In a previous slide, there was a title called "The Realized One." Which title is it for of the Buddha? The translation. I've never seen that translation before.
You mean, wait, hold on.
Let me go back.
When you say
one more.
previous slide, how far?
Probably 2 more.
Oh, okay, where was I? Let me see. Oh,
Yeah,
here,
this
all
one.
right, the realized one. Yeah, I don't know. This is okay, to me it's not uncommon. Yeah.
Mm.
And I can't, I'm not sure what Pali word is translated that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is from MN12. Okay, if I look
MN12,
up.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try and match it up against the 10 titles.
Yeah, just give me a moment. Let me see if um it might not be one of the 10 titles.
Mm.
Yeah.
Maybe
Might
that's
not
how
be.
they translated Buddha.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go back to this slide. Okay, let me see. Accomplished, fully enlightened, and not clear, sublime the novels. Yeah, no, I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. I think the translation that I'm using is probably by Bhikkhu Sujato. So if you look for it, look under
Okay.
Bhikkhu Sujato's translation. In terms of the Buddha's virtuous conduct, it says should be understand as 15 things. Okay, you have to count if there's actually 15 because the numbers only go up to 6. So restraint by virtue, guarding of the sense faculties, knowledge of the right amount in eating. Okay, that seems like a, 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 a fairly mundane thing, right? Yeah, but wait until you see, for example, when I went to City of 10,000 Buddhas, and when you undertake one meal a day, even as a novice, and depends, sometimes even as monastics, especially the first maybe year or so, the amount the amount that we eat, some people say, you eat one meal a day, but your one meal consists of other people's 3 meals. Yeah. So yeah, don't look down on number 3. Number 4, devotion to wakefulness. Number 5, the 7 good states. And number 6, the 4 jhanas or dhyanas of the fine material sphere. For it is precisely by means of these 15 things that a noble disciple conducts himself that he goes towards the deathless. Now we shall move towards the 32 marks of the Buddha. We go back to the Maha Prashna Paramita Shastra, which is by Venerable Nagarjuna or Nagarjuna Bodhisattva. And there's a question posed to Nagarjuna Bodhisattva. It says, are the actions producing the 32 marks bodily actions, vocal actions, or mental actions? Okay, because they're based on karma. That's why it's body, speech, or mind. So Nagarjuna, Venerable Nagarjuna says they are mental actions and not bodily or vocal actions. And he says, why? He says, well, because mental action alone is profitable. Mental action is the main because it is sharp, whereas bodily and vocal actions are dull. Okay. So there's a follow-up question. It says, mental action concerns the 6 consciousnesses. All right. These are the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and the mind consciousness. So it says, are the actions producing the 32 marks accomplished by the mental consciousness or by the other 5 consciousness? So how these consciousnesses arise is your eye faculty, for example, that means your eyeball, your physical eyeball, when it sees light bouncing off an object. So there's forms, okay? So when it contacts with the form, when there's contact between I consciousness and the corresponding sense object, which is form, the I consciousness will arise. Okay, all right. Now, coming back to the answer, it says they are accomplished by the mental consciousness and not by the other 5 consciousnesses. Why? Because the 5 consciousnesses are incapable of discernment. Mental action is endowed with concept and functions after examination. On the contrary, the 5 consciousnesses are without concept and arise as a consequence of the manas sense base. So what does this mean? It means that when your eyes see something and the eye consciousness arises, it just sees the object. Okay. And then what happens is the mind consciousness will then have to analyze and understand what is going on. So the first 5 consciousnesses will send a sensory input to the 6th consciousness, which is the mind. And then that's why it says that they are accomplished by the mental consciousness, because that's where all the like processing takes place. Okay. Now there's a question in terms of the 32 marks. It says which mark is set in place first? That means which comes first? Say if you want to start to get any of the 32 marks. So after we finish the lectures on the 32 marks, you go in front of the mirror and you look at, do you have any of those marks? And you say, oh, I don't even have one. Oh, okay. If I want to practice, which comes first? That means which to concentrate first. So Nagarjuna says, according to some, it is the mark of having the feet well set, as it is necessary to be well established in order that the outer marks be fixed. So it's the feet that comes first, it says, according to some. And it says, but according to others, it is the mark of having deeply set black eyes. Actually, I don't know why it says black eyes here, because it's supposed to be violet or blue. The Buddha's eyes are blue. It says, for it is such that the one with great loving kindness looks upon beings. Okay, so you have to be able to have that perspective before you can your practice bears fruit. Okay. Then he says, these 2 opinions, whatever may be said about them, are incorrect. When the causes and conditions of the marks are gathered, there is a first realization for all the marks together. So how could the feet well planted be the first? Okay, so it says when the causes and conditions of the marks are gathered, there is a first realization for all the marks together. I think this is the Mahayana view that the cause and effect are simultaneous. Yeah, it is a Avatamsaka perspective on things, which to be, yeah. Okay, I'll just leave it as that. Okay, now coming to the karma. Okay, so it says, are the actions accomplished by one volition or karma or intention or several? So the answer is that 32 different volitions accomplish the 32 marks by reason of one volition or intention for each mark. But each mark taken separately is adorned with 100 merits. Okay, mentally note that down. Each mark, that means whether it's the long and slender fingers or flat, even feet, okay, that's one mark, okay, is adorned with 100 merits. So the question comes, what is the extent of each of these merits? It's 100, right? So what is one of them? So Venerable Nagarjuna says, according to some, each merit is equivalent to that which assures the Chakravartin king power over the 4 continents. What is the Chakravartin king? Also known as the wheel-turning king. Okay, it is said, when someone is born in this world and they bear the 32 hallmarks, 2 things will happen, or 2 things may happen. Only one thing will happen out of the 2. All right. Number 1, he will become a Chakravartin king or a wheel-turning king. and wheel turning king over the 4 continents where you can find human beings. Or you become a teacher of gods and humans, you become the Buddha. Okay, it's either one. So it says 100 merits of this kind would realize one single mark. So it's a big deal. Why is it a big deal? Well, many lectures ago, I'm not sure it was beginning of this year or maybe last year or the year before, we looked into detail at what was a wheel turning king. All right. A wheel turning king represents the best that a human being can achieve. All right. If you go and perfect your merits and all that, let me see. There are, I think, 4 different levels, 4 grades of wheel turning kings. Okay. But a wheel turning king represents the highest potential that a human being can achieve in Jambudvipa. Okay, not including in the heavens. But if you have a human body and you want to know what ultimate blessings you can enjoy based on your karma, it is a wheel turning king. Okay, so it's a big deal when they say 100 merit of that kind of a wheel turning king would realize a single mark. And it says, according to others, all right, each merit is equivalent to that which gives chakra mastery over 2 classes of gods, which is the heaven of the 4 kings and the Triumph heaven, or the heaven of 33. Chakra here is Lord Chakra, which is the king of the heaven of the 33. Okay, and also that's a big deal. Okay, why? Because in that heaven, there can only be one king, and that's Lord Chakra. And he oversees everything that happens in our world. You know, how much rain to give, how you say, he even keeps a tally of all the good and bad deeds that every individual performs. So to become Lord Chakra is not a small deal, especially from our perspective as human beings. Okay. And then there's another perspective. It says, according to others, each merit is equivalent to that which gives the king or the Paranimitavasavatin gods the power over the world of desire. Okay, what heaven is this? Okay, give me a moment. Let me open my file. It is the highest heaven in our 6 desire heavens. Okay, let me show you quickly. All right, you look right in the middle of the screen. Okay, look at my cursor. That's heaven of the 4 kings. And that's right above where we humans are. And then there's a Triumph heaven, which is where Lord Chakra is. And then the Suyama heaven, where all the Yama Devas are. And then the Tushita heaven, where Manjushri, Maitreya Bodhisattva is there right now in the inner court teaching the heavenly beings. And he's going to come down. For them is, I think, a matter of weeks that they're going to come. He's going to come down as the next Buddha. For us, I'm not sure how many billions of years. And then after that is the Nirma Narati heaven, or the heaven of bliss by transformation. And above that, okay, the highest, or heaven number 6 of the desire heavens, is where what we have just read. Okay, I'm going to move this away. So it says, according to others, each merit is equivalent to that which gives the king of that heaven, the 6 desire heaven, gods, the power over the world of desire. All right. Then there's another saying, another theory. I'm not sure if these are theories. Another perspective, it says, according to others, each merit is equivalent to the merit that has at its fruit the enjoyment of all beings, with the exception of the Bodhisattva close to Bodhi. Now that's another huge deal. Okay, the enjoyment of all beings. Okay, the fruit has as its fruit. Yeah, the enjoyment of all beings, with the exception of the Bodhisattva close to Bodhi. Can you imagine how much blessings that is? And then yet there's another perspective. Each merit is equivalent to the collective merit of all the beings of earth and heaven at the end of a kalpa, merit which has as its retribution the formation of a triclio mega cleocosm or tricleocosm. Okay, what is that? That is a Buddha world. That is what makes up a Buddha land. It is the, if you study the sutras, it is the largest possible universe. Okay, and there are different interpretations of the what consists a Buddha land, but there's usually a Mount Sumeru. Let me show you. Surrounded by 4 continents, and each world undergoes a creation, abiding, let me see, destroying or disintegration and annihilation, where there's a period where there's nothing there. And in a Buddha land, there is 1 billion world systems. This one. Anyone remember this? So if I'm not wrong, okay, if the from the desire realm, this looks like a wedding cake, right? So you have the hells at the bottom, and then the thing that looks like stick wearing a skirt, that is the beginning of the heavens. Up to the realm of desire, there are in one Buddha land. So in Shakyamuni, where we are right now, there's 1 billion of these worlds. Okay, right up to that point. And then the realm of form, it is 16 heavens. I think that one has 1 million. Yeah. Or maybe 1,000. Something like that. Because some of the realms share heavens. Some of the billion worlds, they share heavens. So it is a big deal, because a Buddha land or tricleocosm consists of 1 billion worlds. Yeah. Okay, let me get back to my slide. Yeah, there you go. And then, but it's not finished yet. It says, according to others, this merit is immeasurable, incomparable, and unknowable. It is equivalent to that which one person would gain by caring for and healing all the beings of a tricleocosm, that means 1 billion worlds, in the case where this would all be blind and without eyes, or where they had all been poisoned and he took care of them and cured them, or where they were about to die and he was able to save them and deliver them, or where they all lost their discipline and he was able to teach them and bring them back to pure discipline and right view. All of that would be equivalent to only one single merit of producing the marks. And you need 100 of those. Okay, now it goes on another level. It says, according to yet others, this merit is immeasurable and incomparable. When the Bodhisattva has entered the 3rd Asamkhya, his mind and his volition have a great activity. He accomplishes the actions producing the 32 marks. This is why his merits are immense and only the Buddha can know them. All right, that means in this long journey, 3 Asamkhya kalpas, to be when you generate the 32 hallmarks, we cannot figure it out what it takes. The perfection of the virtues and the wholesomeness, the wholesome deeds. Yeah. Okay. Now we move on to this slide, which we read last week. And I found some new information that that I found to be very helpful. So I'm going to share it. So last week there was a question. This was before the story of how Shakyamuni Buddha in a past life, he was a rishi, and Buddha Pusha, he wanted to make Shakyamuni, the Bodhisattva Shakyamuni, he wanted to inspire him to bring forth the Bodhi mind. You all remember that story? So Pusha Buddha entered the cave and and he emitted fire. Okay, so the question was, why was the Bodhisattva Shakyamuni's mind impure whereas that of his disciples was pure? And why was the mind of the Bodhisattva Maitreya impure, whereas that of his disciples was pure? And the answer given at that time was that because Shakyamuni Bodhisattva was totally preoccupied with the good of beings, but little with himself, whereas the Bodhisattva Maitreya preoccupied himself much with himself and little with other beings. Okay, now I found actually just
Question.
when yes, Alex.
Yeah, the question, I think, is the second part. Why was the mind of Bodhisattva Maitreya pure, whereas that of his disciple was impure? Otherwise,
Oh yeah.
they're the same.
No. No, you're right. Wait. Let me go back. Hold on. Let me. Yeah, you're totally right. I'm not sure how. Yeah, sometimes when okay, this is correct. Yeah, thank you for. Did I read it wrongly or correctly?
I
Okay.
think you've read it correctly.
Yeah, but it was wrong in the slide, right?
Yeah.
It means I read it wrongly, but it was correct. Okay, all right. And that's why I didn't catch the typo error at all. Thanks, Alec. Yeah. Okay. So what does impure mean? All right. Okay. Wait. I can ask you all. What do you all think impure here means? Anyone want to try? Because last week I had a bit of doubt when I read that. Okay, can't blame you all for keeping quiet. It's not an easy question. I was stumped too. I wasn't sure. Yeah. Okay.
It's because there's fewer afflictions.
You could
So
say
it
that.
is.
You could
It's
say that.
pure.
Yeah. That's you won't be wrong. Yeah. But I think the answer that we have in front of us goes right to the root cause for the answer. So it says, although he sacrifices himself for all beings, meaning Bodhisattva Shakyamuni, his mind is impure, for he does not know that he himself is non-existent. That means he hasn't seen the emptiness of self yet. He does not know that the one who receives his gift is not a person, is not his teacher. He does not know that the thing given by him is in reality neither the same as or different from him. So, since his mind is attached to the three concepts of donor, recipient, and the thing that is given, it is impure. That means the mind is not based on emptiness. There is still a sense of the self. And this is important because whenever we have a sense of the self, when we do something, we how do you say the karmic seeds that we create inevitably bring us back into rebirth. Okay, let me read the rest of the paragraph. Okay, so it says, since his mind is attached to the three concepts of donor, recipient, and thing given, it is impure. It is in this world that he will receive the reward of his merit. He will not be able to go directly to Buddhahood. Thus, it is said in the Prajna Paramita that the three things, the donor, the recipient, and the thing given, are non-existent and that he should not be attached to them. That means the when it comes to giving and in perfection of giving that bodhisattvas do when they in perfection of giving, there is no mark or no they don't have any thoughts or attachments to themselves, to what is given, and to who receives it. Okay, for us, it's very, very hard to do that. It's amazingly difficult, but we can get very, very close. Why? If giving becomes a habit. So people who are not used to giving, after they give, they might regret. Okay, I only had $10. I had in my wallet, and you have $10 in your wallet, and you see someone who needs the money more than you, and you decide to be a bodhisattva and say, it's not easy to be a bodhisattva. Now I'll give him $8, I'll give him all of my $10. And immediately after that, or after that, you regret. You say, I shouldn't have given him. Why am I so stupid? I should have given him maybe just $2 and keep some for myself. Now I have no money. Okay, you. So that means your giving is impure. All right. Or after you give, you're very happy. Say, wow, I managed to give all the money. I only had $10 and I managed to give him all $10. I'm so happy, I want to dedicate this merit to the entire Dharma realm, to my parents, to my children, blah, 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 blah. I did such a good thing today and you're very proud of yourself. Also not giving based on emptiness. Okay. Now, the closest that we can get is when we give so often that we stop thinking about it. It becomes who we are. That means we do it out of habit. Habit means you don't think, right? You how you say, it's what they call it. There's a kind of behavior that occurs automatically. So when things like that happen, then you do like even small acts of kindness, like when you open the door and you leave it open, or you hold it open for the person behind you, or you open it for them to go through first, or you're lining up at the airport, and as you're taking a tray, you're passing security and you're taking a tray for yourself, you take one for the person behind you as well. And you don't think about it. You don't think about how great you are, that you're doing, you're so noble, you're practicing the Bodhisattva path. You don't think about it at all. You just do it because, or you see someone doing it and you say, that's such a nice thing to do. And you just do it. And after that, you forget all about it. You how do you know you forget? You don't go and tell anyone else. Like, hey, what I did just now, or you just forget. Okay. That's how we can come very close to pure giving. Yeah. So remember the 4 kinds of karma that we talked about? And why is that important? The Buddha says there are 4 kinds of karma: bright karma, which is wholesome karma, and then dark karma, which is the opposite. Think when things happen to you, you don't like it, that's dark karma. And then there's bright and dark karma, which is you get good and bad at the same time. Mixed karma. And that means it gives you mixed feelings. You win the lottery, but then your wife divorce you, or your husband divorce you and take half your money away, or something like that. Or your family starts quarreling over money, and all the love that was once there is all gone. Mixed karma. Then the Buddha says there's a 4th kind of karma, which is neither bright nor dark karma. And that is the karma that leads to the ending of defilements. So that karma is actually really hard to achieve. The Buddha said, the Buddha says, if you walk the Noble Eightfold Path, you are creating that kind of merit. So what is merit? Merit is based on right intention from the Noble Eightfold Path. And for us to be able to come close to doing it, you need loving kindness, all right? You need compassion, and you need to be able, you in any acts of generosity or anything that you do, your mind has to be filled with thoughts of renunciation. So loving kindness is you give for happiness of other living beings, to make them happy. Compassion is to alleviate their suffering if they are suffering, to help them out. And then renunciation is to give up your attachments. So if you can do that, then slowly you accumulate merit one by one. And then when you have enough merit, it's called good roots. And good roots allow you to do fantastic things, like take the 5 precepts, take the 8 precepts, leave home, or take the 10 precepts and leave home, and then take the bhikshu precepts or the bhikshuni precepts, take the bodhisattva precepts, even as a layperson or as a monastic, and to walk the bodhisattva path. All right. Now, the last few slides, we looked at how difficult it is to receive the 32 hallmarks, right? You need 100 merits. And one of the merit we realize that it is actually unknowable. Only the Buddha knows the extent of even one single merit of out of 100 to generate one of the 32 marks. But how do we start? Well, we start with right intention. If not, then everything that we do is tainted by our sense of self. And what does that mean? It means that instead of creating white and dark karma, neither bright nor dark karma, which is karma that ends birth and death, we are creating karma that brings us back into rebirth again and again and again. Which is why in the Earth Store Sutra, the Kitishgarbha Sutra, the Earth Store Sutra says that, Earth Store Bodhisattva says that almost every stirring of thought of living beings in Jambudvipa is an offense. That's a huge statement to make. And if you understand how accurate that statement is, you will really, really pay attention to using right intention in everything that we do. Okay, now it's time. I wanted to show you all the actual 32 hallmarks, but I guess if we ran out of time, we'll do that next week. Let's transfer our merit. Okay, I'm going to put my palms together. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, may my spiritual teachers and guides of great virtue, my mother, my father, and my relatives, the sun and the moon, and all virtuous leaders of the world, may the highest gods and evil forces, celestial beings, guardian spirits of the earth, and the Lord of death, may those who are friendly, indifferent, or hostile, may all beings receive the blessings of my life. May they soon attain the threefold bliss and realize the deathless. Through the goodness that arises from my practice, and through this act of sharing, may all desires and attachments quickly cease and all harmful states of mind. Until I realize Nibbana, in every kind of birth, may I have an upright mind, with mindfulness and wisdom, austerity and vigor. May the forces of delusion not take hold nor weaken my resolve. The Buddha is my excellent refuge. Unsurpassed is the protection of the Dharma. The solitary Buddha is my noble Lord. The Sangha is my supreme support. To the supreme power of all this, may darkness and delusion be dispelled. You know, I just realized I did not cough at all in today's lecture. So many people have helped me. Many thanks to all of you all. Okay, all right, let's do 3 bows to the Buddha. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Bowing respect to the Venerable Master. Second bow. Third bow. Half bow. Oh, did any of you join Taiwan or are joining in from Taiwan? The opening of a new branch?
Yes, Master.
Were you there, Alec? Are you there now?
No, I just joined through Zoom.
Oh, you joined through Zoom?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was excellent.
Okay, because I know quite a few of those who join every week. The lecture is in Taiwan right now. But I only know Melinda who's there, but I can't remember who else. Yeah.
I think
So no
Lucy
one?
is there.
Oh, Lucy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, everyone. We'll hopefully meet up next week. If not, I'll let you all know and then we meet up the week after. Okay, Amitabha everyone. Bye-bye.
Wonderful.
Amrita for